The fourth week of the Dale-Warner murder trial is underway, and we could see jury deliberations before the week's end. Thank you so much for joining us live here on WTOL 11+. I'm Jeff Smith.
And I'm Kaylee Marantat. This is a case our team has been following since Dale's wife, Dee, first went missing nearly 5 years ago. Tonight on WTOL 11+, we're showing you the must-see moments from inside the Lenawee County courtroom as the trial nears the finish line. Yeah, and today the second lead detective took the stand for the entirety of the day. Our Melissa Andrews has been in court for every minute of this trial so far. She is following the latest tonight.
The second lead investigator in the case walked the jury through step by step the years-long process that led to a farm tank and dee-Warner's body. It's a stark contrast to the first lead investigator that testified Friday, saying he couldn't remember key details of the case 19 times. Detective Daniel Drewier testified that investigators seized more than 100 phones and tablets during the case, including multiple devices belonging to Dale Warner, but never recovered dee-Warner's original phone. He told jurors Warner purchased a new phone after her disappearance and imported her iCloud data onto it. The detective said early efforts focused heavily on the possibility that Dee had left on her own. Investigators obtained search warrants for airline records, credit cards, pharmacy records, and OnStar data. They confirmed a rumored affair that ended months earlier and verified the other man was in Florida when she disappeared. Drewier testified nothing supported Warner's claims that his wife fled to Mexico or Jamaica, was involved with a cartel, or had a secret phone. Large-scale searches followed, thousands of acres using cadaver dogs, ground-penetrating radar, drones, and heavy equipment. For months, investigators believe she may have been buried underground. Drewier also testified about a large gun safe once located in a spray barn on the property and did an experiment to see if he could fit inside a similarly sized one.
Was that ever tested? Did anyone ever swab that for blood, DNA, bodily fluids, hair, anything?
The closest to a search that was conducted on that safe is when the FBI was there in October of 21. It was still in Building 7. Mr. Warner provided a combination. They opened it and took a photo of the inside, but no other examination of the safe was done at that time.
At any time, correct?
No, but by the time I realized that it may be involved in some way, I was unable to locate it again.
Drewier also revisited what he called a welding theory, focusing on large metal tanks on Warner's properties, a piece of information he did not share with Detective Greca.
It's not my investigation. I'm just making recommendations on what I've seen from their investigation. So I wasn't entirely sure it would be appropriate for me to air that type of opinion. And separately, we were very conscious of the fact that somehow information was being leaked from the Sheriff's Department.
In August 2024, Tank 34 was cut open. Inside, investigators found Dee Warner's body wrapped in a blue tarp, barefoot, with duct tape that later could not be fully tested because it would not dry. He also said Dee's brother Greg lied to the media about leading investigators to the tank. Drewier also acknowledged mistakes, including concentrating too long on underground searches, but he told jurors investigators exhausted every lead before finding Dee Warner inside that tank. The prosecution is expected to rest tomorrow. The defense says it will call 3 witnesses, including Greg Hardy, Dale's ex-wife, and Todd Nayrink, one of the employees Dee was arguing with before she disappeared. We're told the court will take the day off on Wednesday for the attorneys to prepare their closing arguments, which will take place on Thursday. That is when the jury could get the case. Reporting in Adrian, Melissa Andrews, WTOL 11.
Well, you can be the first to hear about the major developments in this case. All you have to do is text the word trial and to that number on your screen. That's 419-248-1100. Then our team will send you links to our stories with trial updates as soon as we get them. Plus, you can read up on this case's history and the disappearance and discovery of Dee Warner.
Each of these weeks, once again, has kind of been broken down into themes. If you go back to how the prosecution has kind of put this game plan together, and we had Gary Byers in here, and he said this is what prosecutors do. They put together this game plan, go to the jury, lay out a case for them, but they do it in incremental steps. Before we go back and talk about weeks 1 through 3, you said what Mel just laid out right there as far as the witnesses the defense is bringing caught your attention. For me, bringing Greg Hardy onto the stand should play out quite interesting.
Especially since the defense is already saying that Greg allegedly lied to the media already in this case. So the former detective that we had on Friday said the biggest thing about also being a detective on the case, getting cross-examined by the defense, is that they are going to poke holes in you and try to limit your credibility. And I think that's maybe what we're going to see against Greg Hardy, against these other people that the defense is calling up.
Week 4 is all about, according to the themes, is all about reasonable doubt and trying to create this uncertainty among the jurors. And that's all they need, is just that, well, it could be that way. It could have happened that way. If you go back to week 1, setting the foundation, introducing the timeline, talking about the marriage, the relationship, what family members recognized, what neighbors recognized. Week 2, the digital trail, the contradictions that were out there about where she was, when she was, cell phone pings. OnStar, bringing in those specialists to talk about the car data. And then week 3, more forensics, physical evidence. Melissa said that the investigator, you talked about it from last week, who came, he was AWOL for the longest time. They bring him in, he testifies, but she said 17 or what'd you say, 19 different times. He said he didn't remember stuff?
I think it's interesting, too, that it happened to be this detective, again, who was arrested for failing to abide, where he was subpoenaed to come testify, and he failed to show in court. I think it's interesting that it happened with that detective, but something that I asked the former detective, Jim Trout, that came out on Friday was, how do you, as a detective, recall details from 5 years ago? He said, we're human. We do. He goes, I forget things that happened last year, let alone 5 years ago. That he said, I don't recall 19 times. But is it again a coincidence that this is the detective who, like you said, was kind of AWOL? Yeah.
Hey, you know, I was away for a few days with some friends, and we were talking about this case specifically. We're not jurors, so we could.
Yeah.
But one of the things that was brought up, and we go back to the first couple of days of it, is when the prosecutors were talking about specifically when the investigators were first on the farm property and Dale was moving around them. What was he doing at that time? What was he moving? What was he working on? And just that suspicion that they were trying to build in the jury. But once again, this entire week is about creating that doubt for the jurors.
It'll definitely be interesting how this week tends to fold out, and it could be the last week.
Absolutely. As you heard, Melissa said, Wednesday, we are taking a break. Those 3 defense witnesses take the stand tomorrow. Wednesday is not a planned day in court. Thursday could be the day that we get to the next step of this.
Again, here's a look at what's next. Court picks back up tomorrow. The prosecution is expected to rest its case. Then, like Jeff said, the defense will call Greg Hardy, Julie Bach, Dale's ex-wife, and Todd Niernick, one of the employees she was arguing with. We expect all testimony to be done tomorrow, and the jury deliberations could begin as soon as Thursday. That could be it.
Yeah.
We could have a verdict Thursday.
Yeah, we could go to the jury and then figure out how long it's going to take them to come up with some type of solution. A lot of times you don't know how the jury's going to react. They could want to get this over quick, or they want to do their homework and could potentially take it into the weekend, into a 5th week as we stand here in week 4. You can watch the entire trial live right here every day on WTOL 11+. The court is in session, as we said, tomorrow. And we will have the very latest court adjourned up until the point that court is adjourned for the day tomorrow. And then, as we said, an off day on Wednesday. Until then, you can always stream Hidden in Plain Sight, the disappearance and discovery of dee-Warner, anytime on WTOL 11+. 11 Investigates sat down with members of Dee's family and broke down the entire investigation in a special 30-minute presentation.
That'll wrap it for us tonight. Make sure to follow us on all your favorite social media platforms, and you can download the WTOL 11 News app on your phone to get all the update alerts of the trial sent straight to you.
We appreciate it as always. Great job downloading WTOL 11+, having it at the ready. Have a great rest of your night. We'll see you next time.